you are worth it for sure. I have absolutely no doubt. Don't let the surroundings shape you. You shape the surroundings based on who you are, based on your authenticity.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Frustrated to Fluent. I'm your host, Devon Bruce. I'm the founder and CEO of the English Communication Academy. We help non native English speakers in healthcare communicate effectively with their patients, colleagues, and staff. And today I'm speaking with Camila Ferreira. She's a global business strategist, keynote speaker, and founder of Rise Up, which is a consulting firm focused on turning customer experience into a measurable growth engine. With more than 20 years of executive leadership across Latin America, Europe, and the United States, she has led large scale transformations that align strategy, culture, and experience to drive profitability. Also known for her boardroom level approach to CX and leadership, Camila speaks internationally about the intersection of performance, trust, and human centered strategy. And then she's also the co author and long lived CX and host of the Limitless Talks podcast, where she explores how leadership and experiences shape sustainable growth. So, Camila, thank you so much for coming on today.
Wow, no, thank you very much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and podcast with you. I'm so excited.
Thank you. I'm really excited to talk to you today as well because we are doing a bit of a deeper dive today. We're talking about self trust and how that shows up for non native English speakers. And this is something that I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I'm really excited to dive into this because a lot of times when people want to work with us, they think I need more grammar or I need just better vocabulary. And no, it's not. They're already fluent, extremely fluent most of the time. But there's still certain things that are holding them back. And self trust is one of them, which is one of the things that I think people are usually surprised to hear about. So I'm really excited to jump into this.
Absolutely. Very great topics. And I'm happy to go deeper on those topics. I love them, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's just go ahead and get started. So let me just ask you, how would you define self-trust? And how can someone be trusted by, let's say, patients or colleagues or leadership, but they still don't trust themselves?
Yeah. Such a great way to kick off this conversation. It took me a few years in therapy to understand this, so I'm going to share what I
Yeah.
have learned throughout this journey. To me, self-trust is related to self-worth, which has nothing to do with how others see you, but how you see yourself. So everything starts with self-knowledge, you learning and you knowing who you are, what are your values, what are your principles, and living by them. And sometimes when you try to do this, you conflict with the people or the places or how and what you are surrounded. Let me give you a quick example. You may work for a company and you are delivering on your performance. However, the values of the company are not necessarily aligned with your values and principles. That's when you start kind of self-doubting yourself. So to me, self-confidence is you understanding your self-worth. And by the way, there is a book called Worthy, written by Jamie Kern Lima. I love this book where she talks about us looking inside and appreciating and valuing ourselves first. We all we are all born with our strengths, with our uniqueness, and the worst we can do to ourselves is try to be someone else. So,
Yeah, it's
right, because
true.
we're gonna fall far from who we truly are. And the best we can give to ourselves and to the world is our uniqueness. And I do have a mentoring program where we talk about kind of a personal branding. And I tell them that personal branding to me has three pillars. One is your skills. We are all born with skills, right? Some skills more developed than the others. I recently kind of wrote a post about me deciding or juggling between writing a newsletter or having a podcast. I don't consider myself a good writer. I can develop that skill, I can train that skill, but it's not natural. On the other hand, kind of a talking in mic is something I can do kind of a endless
Yeah.
hours. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, why would I have a newsletter that would kind of be a burden to me rather than having a podcast? You see? So if I had decided to go for the newsletter, people may like my newsletter, may like my content, and I would be appreciated by my audience. But internally, how would be my self-confidence? I would be constantly judging myself if I was doing the right thing or if I was doing this right. So the very first thing in terms of personal brand is your skill set. Then the second one is all of your titles. So what are the kind of courses that you took? What are the trainings that you've taken? What have you learned throughout your life? This is the second thing. However, for example, if you think of your classmates from college, I assure you that none of them is doing the exact same thing you were doing, right? So you all
Yeah.
attend the same class, but the way you use that information, the way you use that knowledge is different. And why? Because you have different skill sets, because you have different past experiences. So the second pillar of personal branding is your titles, what you've learned from a content standpoint. And the third one is your experience. What have you experienced in life? We have our ups and downs. For example, I have gone through a divorce. I have lost my mom. I have been awarded here in the US. We all have our ups and downs. And of course, that those experiences will start shaping us. So personal branding, three pillars, your skill set, what you've learned and your experiences. And these must be aligned to what? To who you are. That's what is going to build self confidence. Because when we talk about external recognition, we are talking about performance. And performance may not be fully kind of linked or connected to your values and principles. So, long answer
Yeah.
to your
No, that makes a lot of
question.
sense. Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of self confidence, and sometimes, most of the times, I would say we let the surroundings to shape us. You may have worked for an organization or maybe for a manager, for someone that you do not necessarily uh, get inspired by, but still you were there and you were delivering. It doesn't, the fact that you were being recognized based on your performance does not mean that you were self confident. Those are completely different things.
Yeah, I that makes a lot of sense just because there's a lot of things that go into self-trust. It's not just one thing, and then it's not a one size fits all. This reminds me back when I decided to go from teaching English as a second language to starting my business as an English coach and just kind of going from there. I no longer do English coaching because I lead the academy now, but it just reminds me back when I first started, I did not trust myself because I thought I had to show up in a way that didn't feel authentically me, but I was so afraid that people would not take me seriously. And at first, it didn't really resonate. And then once I took a step back, I was like, that's because I'm not being true to myself, you know? I was trying to be like this highbrow, stuffy, uppity, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's not me. And so once I just threw all that out the window and I was just like, look, this is the reason why you're having problems with your English. I just brought it down and I was just like, this is the reason why, and I can help you. Then it really started to click. And I was just like, oh my gosh, if I just trusted myself, show up authentically, big
Yes.
hair and all, people really
Yes.
resonated with that. So I totally
Absolutely.
get it.
People resonate with authenticity. And this is
Right.
so true. I'm glad that you share this experience, especially now that we are surrounded by social media. We kind of tend to mirror ourselves to what we see there. And let me tell you something, what we see there is not the reality.
It's so true. You're
Right?
absolutely right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
one day you see a post of a couple, a family in love. The following day they are kind of filing for divorce. So
Right.
everybody struggles. Everybody has problems. We are all on the same page. We live in the same world. So I am so glad that you had the courage to be your true self.
Oh,
And I
thank
am
you.
pretty sure that from that moment on, things clicked in your life. It's
Oh,
kind
for
of a
sure. Yeah.
right? It's like, oh my goodness, I can show up with my kind of a big hair, with my long hair, with my short hair, with my kind of a red
Yes.
lipstick. Instead of, for example, my experience in corporate, I have worked for some organizations that were more strict. Oh my God, and so you cannot wear a skirt. I'm not talking about short skirt. You cannot wear any skirt at all, right? So you cannot put kind of a red lipstick because you're going to show off. Like, I cannot be
Yeah.
myself. And
Right.
of course, this will have an impact, maybe not necessarily on the performance, because it depends on how committed you are to deliver on what you were asked for. But this will definitely have an impact on your mental health. But by the
True.
time you kind of commit to yourself or you stop prioritizing pleasing others and living by your true values and your principles, life is so much lighter.
So true.
And you will start connecting with people that appreciate you the way you are. That's where the true self confidence starts kind of being built.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, we've talked about self trust and what it means and how to show up, but how does working in a second language impact self trust? How does that enter the mix?
Yeah. Based on my experience, and I have gone through this, and now I help others kind of navigating this challenge. I do think that people equate intelligence or being smart to fluency,
Hmm.
and this
Unfortunately,
is
yeah, you're right.
right, and it's not
Yeah,
right. So think in your mother language. How much do you care about of how correctly, grammarly correctly you were talking or you were writing? We don't think about it. So, like the US, Brazil is a huge country. The way we speak, for example, in the South is different than how we speak in the North or the Northeast of the country. You have the kind of the local words or slangs, and people do not necessarily pay attention to the finesse of the grammar. However, by the time they leave their home country and start living international, living abroad, they think or they put in their minds that they have to speak the language perfectly, and this is not right. And moreover, what they do is that they set this as a reason for success or the reason for being recognized by others rather than focusing on truly communicating, which is way more than words.
right.
So of course, it takes some time to develop the ability or to express yourself in the same way that you express yourself in your home language. And why? You have the idiomatic expressions, right? So sometimes, depending, for example, when I'm watching a comedian, it takes me some kind of additional effort and muscle to understand because it has to do with that particular community, what resonates with
Yeah,
them. And I'm not only talking about myself as an immigrant, because as I said, the US is so big, so huge. Maybe what resonates better, for example, in the North is different than how it would resonate or what resonates in the South. So again, it's not only the language, but I think that based on my experience, as I said, I have gone through this. I have many times been silent when I knew the answer just because I was not confident in that language. But then I understood that it's not about kind of speaking grammarly right or grammarly correct. It's about adding value. And I can make myself understandable. I may not use the right word. I may not use the right grammar, but I can make myself understand. That's what's worth it. So I
right.
think that to your audience and to whoever is listening to us is, oh, am I more concerned about saying the right words with the right grammar or actually helping others, adding value to this conversation? Because I do have a lot to contribute to this. If the second, then just go for it. Start talking, and you're gonna polish your words over time. Start reading. There are so many things that we can do to polish or to enrich our vocabulary, but don't limit yourself just because you don't know all the words because you may not even know all the words in your home country, in your home language.
Right. And I'm really glad that you touched on that because just being in this space for a long time, you're right. A lot of people focus so much on perfect sentence structure, perfect grammar, or they use these big, fancy $1 million words. And it really takes away from speaking clearly.
So I do think that each of us, we have so much to contribute, we have so much to add, and we shouldn't kind of prioritize the perfect grammar over your contribution. Again, as I said
Yeah.
before, the best we can do to ourselves and to the world is being authentic and contributing with the skills that we have developed over time. Again, the fact that you do not necessarily speak fluently or the way you want it, because as you correctly said, sometimes people are fluent, but they don't have the self confidence because they have set the bar so high for themselves that this kind of a high bar holds them back to communicate, to connect, and to add value to what they are doing.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of times people, when they work with us or they have this issue, there's a lot of guilt and a lot of a shame that's attached to it because they feel like they shouldn't need help as something basic as English, even though it's not basic because it's communication. But there's, like I said, that there's a lot of guilt and shame there. So, having said
Yeah.
that, when it comes to self trust, how does guilt and shame or low self esteem, how does that show up for non native English speakers when they feel like they need help with something as basic as English?
Yeah, I think it happens because, as you correctly said, they think that this is something basic. But let me give you a real example. You know, you work in the healthcare industry. The healthcare has its own vocabulary. Even though I do consider that I can communicate in English, I feel kind of a confident engaging in almost any conversation. When it comes to healthcare, it's not the same because I don't know that vocabulary. And similarly, maybe if you kind of start talking about customer experience or something that is more technical, you may not have all of the jargon or all of the words. And the problem is we set this or we equate this knowing this to adding value or to being smart or to have an authority, and that's not necessarily true. There is absolutely no problem in saying, you know what, I don't know, well, please explain this to me, because maybe what you're going to find on the other side is that someone that doesn't know something that you know. And so in any conversation, so you were kind of a born and raised here, I was born in Brazil, I lived in some other countries, and now I live here in the US. So most likely if you and I sit down to solve a problem, you can approach this from different perspective. But if I always think that because you speak the English, because you were kind of raised here, this is gonna make you smarter than me, I will always underappreciate all of my experience and my value. But if I approach this from a different perspective where we contribute to each other, because you and I see things from a different perspective based on our previous experiences and everything that I said about personal branding, then we start what? Collaborating. And we start kind of adding value. So the very first thing is not underappreciate yourself, not undervalue yourself. This is here. This is in your mind. Maybe not necessarily coming from outside, but from within.
Wow, I love it. Wow, you said that so beautifully. That's fantastic. Um,
Thank you.
Now, if someone feels disconnected from their own direction and wants to rebuild their self trust, where's the first place that they can start?
Yes, I love this question. And in my
Thank you.
mentoring program, this is one of the hardest questions to be answered, which is what brings you joy? What would you do for free if you have no bills to pay? If you have no kind of a financial responsibility, because sometimes people, they do something just in exchange of money and it doesn't necessarily bring them joy. But if this was not a concern, the question is, when you wake up that day where bills and finance is not an issue, would you be doing what you truly love? That's the starting point. And I can tell you, 9 out of 10 of my mentees of this program do not know that answer. And why? Because they have been so shaped by the surroundings that they need to do something in a certain way that they have completely unlearned and forgotten on how to think about themselves. And it's Yes, and it's completely different. The day and life is completely different when you wake up to do what you truly love, where you truly believe that your skill set, your experiences will make a better world than just waking up and having to go to a place or even working from home on something that does not click with you. That's the starting point. Close your eyes and think, what brings me truly joy? True joy. That's it. That's your starting point. And if you do not know the answer, keep asking. What would I do for free? If I have no bills to pay, if I have no financial responsibilities, what would that be? That's the starting point. And you may realize that you are a lawyer, but you would love to be a DJ.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can tell you. Or I don't know, you are a writer, but you would like to be a podcaster. And you end up kind of moving forward in that direction or having that profession just because others told you what to do and not necessarily because you followed your gut, you followed your principles and you follow your values. So the very first thing is to reconnect to your true self and ask in a very transparent and candid way, what would you do for free?
Awesome. Love it. That makes total sense. Now, finally, for someone watching and they feel stuck, plateaued, or undeserving of more because they don't have self trust and they want to work on that, what would you want them to hear right now?
They are worth it. That's it. They are worth it for sure. Each of us, no matter the color of our skin, no matter where we were born, no matter which university we have attended, because if the labels would grant you success, everybody who attended the most awarded universities or college would be successful. And this is not true. Okay.
Yeah.
So right?
Yeah.
However, you can see people, my case, for example, I was raised under very limiting financial situations. I have to go after my dreams with the tools that I have available, which money was not one of them. But again, I have met throughout my professional life brilliant people who have not attended the most awarded colleges, and they are still brilliant because it's not the college who makes you, it's you who makes the college. That's the difference.
True. I love that. Yes. Yes. I love that.
Is what you make, what you do with that knowledge that is being transferred to you. As I said before, if you look at your classmates from your college, they are not doing what you were doing. It doesn't have the right or wrong. It has what makes sense to you. Whenever you are aligned to your principles, to your values, that's fine. Whenever you have the chance to be your true self and you were fine with it and you like being your true self, that's what matters most. So the message I would give to these people is you are worth it for sure. I have absolutely no doubt. Don't let the surroundings shape you. You shape the surroundings based on who you are, based on your authenticity.
Mm. What a great way to close that out. Yes, you are worthy. It does not
Yeah.
matter where you started. It doesn't matter what your cultural background is. It does not matter. You are worthy and you deserve to be in the room. Point
Yes.
blank, period. Love, love,
In
love,
the
love it.
room,
Yes.
yes. You deserve to be in the room that you want to be and not in the room that people
Yes.
tell you have to be. That's the other thing, right? Because sometimes
Yes.
you are in a room that is not for you and your energy is just being drained. So instead of letting others tell you the rooms you have to be, tell others the room you want to be. That's when you invert this game because you are worth it. So being in the room is because you're going to add value, regardless of how fluent or not fluent you are in that particular language. It's because you truly believe that your skills, your experiences, what you've learned throughout life is valuable for that particular audience. Being this a small or a large or a gigantic room or a stadium, doesn't matter. Okay. You are worth it.
Love it. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Camilla, where can people find you online?
Yes, absolutely. So they can find me on LinkedIn, Camila Ferreira underscore global. I also have my website. It's camilaferreira.com. Happy to connect with your audience. I love this topic. As you can see, I'm get very excited and heated. This self trust
Yeah, that was great.
is something that is a life changer when we understand what are the true pillars of self trust and self confidence. Things completely change and for the better. So yes, you can find me on LinkedIn or on my website.
Thank you. Awesome. And those links are in the description box below. And also, you have a podcast, right?
I do. I do. I have podcast. I'm the
Yes.
second season. Yes, it's called Limitless Talks, where we discuss limitless leadership and how experience translates into business growth.
Great. And the link for that is in the description box below as well. And if you're a healthcare leader listening and you need some help with communication breakdowns, please feel to reach out to me as well. Camila, thank you so much for coming on. This was a fantastic conversation.
No,
Fantastic.
thank you yes, thank you very much for helping me. It's always a pleasure talking to you and having the chance to contribute to your community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for listening or watching. And I'll see you next time. Take care.